So this Battlefield 5 announcement trailer came out. And Battlefield 5 comes off Battlefield 1, which was Battlefield World War 1, which came out like 2 years ago, and that was pretty well regarded. And people loved Battlefield 1. It looked cool. World War 1 was a great setting. So Battlefield 5 is not World War 5, it's World War 2, but it's the fifth in the series.
Oh, Jesus
but
Christ.
they had a Battlefield 1942 before.
Yeah, I think that was like the first one. But not
Battlefield 1.
But not 1.
Okay. Battlefield 5 is World War 2. And people want to go back to the past. They liked it. I think people like the simplicity and the authenticity of these World War 1 and 2 weapons. I think they just feel better and they're more tactile, shooting a Tommy gun versus like a laser rifle. That's just what I think about it. I think it's cool having these roughed up, rustic, buildings that are dilapidated and having these cool tanks that, are working off of like gears and shit. I just think there's an appeal to that.
Right.
Having the old World War II, planes versus flying an F-16. There's just something to the simplicity of it. I think that that appeals to people.
It's true. I mean, World War 1 and 2, like air combat,
The real dogfighting.
like that is more interesting to me than
versus firing a missile from 10 miles out.
Sure.
And that's basically how air-to-air combat is now. It's not like you're going to get up close and personal a lot of times and firing machine guns at people. You're a Vulcan cannon. All right, so the Battlefield 5 reveal trailer comes out, and it was I think, was it the most downvoted thing on YouTube ever or close to it?
Every time one of these trailers comes out, it becomes the new most downvoted thing.
But it wasn't well regarded. And I'm trying to piece together, what's going on here. 307,000 upvotes, 389,000 downvotes. So the top rated comment is, "Wow, I've to study history again." Not I've got to. I have to study history again. Other top comments are, "You played yourself. Dislike ratio updated weekly. Battlefield keeps deleting dislikes. Shaking my effing head." And then you get into what some people I think have a problem with, but not everyone, but some people. Seriously, they put all that effort into adding women into the game, but they forgot about when the Martians made an appearance on the front line. So that's actually pretty funny. That comment. So you have this highly anticipated sequel to Battlefield 1, and people are losing their shit. So what's going on here? When you watch the trailer, it's a group of, was it 3 or 4? It looks like resistance fighters, or they're on the front line. They one guy looks like fucking Kratos, by the way. They invade the front line. They invade this house. It's like house combat. People are getting shot, and within the first 25 seconds, I think this is when people first started flipping out, or partially. You have the female fighter gets shot, and she has what looks like a not just prosthetic arm, a semi-robotic arm, holding the weapon. From there, it goes up into the upstairs. They fight upstairs. It's very fast. It's almost like it doesn't seem like a World War II game when you're first watching this, at least to me. It's very fast, the action. 2 tanks come in. They jump out the fucking window and then shoot at the tanks coming after them. And the woman that got shot is revived with a sniper rifle with her interesting arm. And from there, it just goes into the action, and it's fast and furious. You got planes flying in and out. And I guess this is not just what people were anticipating. And I think the aspect of the woman in it, I think that's a small part of it, but I don't think that's all of this
It's really not, though. If you looked, it's really mostly focusing on the woman aspect. It's not a small part of it.
It's not that small part?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you paid attention to the discourse of it over the past week and a half, it's not a small part. It's a big part. It's always a big part of it when this shit comes out. And then they spend a week trying to backpedal and explain why that, they're not trying to be dicks about it being women, and then it fizzles out. It is. People hardly brought up the prosthetic arm, and then they did, and then...
That's just me watching the trailer, I noticed that.
Sure.
That's weird.
But
that's just weird.
That's your take on it, which is a bit more balanced when you bring up the prosthetic arm that looks a bit more futuristic, but that's not their take on it. People were flipping out because there's women in a video game about war where you respawn and regain life when you stand still. That's the controversy.
I'm not sure if that's it. I mean, I know that's part of it. Let's put it this way. I'm sure there's people that are pissed off just because they put women in the game. There's absolutely people. I'm sure there's people that are pissed off because there's a woman in the game and there's prosthetic arms, and plus maybe the tone is all weird throwing that all together. You know, like I said, judging from the trailer, I'm not a Battlefield guy. I'm not. I did play Battlefield 1942 way
AKA
back.
Part 1.
I did. Is part of this that this is jumping away from any sort of realism, and it's all just put together? It's not just yes, there were some women that fought in World War II. Yes, 99.9% were men. We get that, but there were some women, so it's not totally inaccurate to put women in the game. We get that. No women fought on the U.S. line, but they did in other parts of the world. We get that, and in Europe and in Russia. But is it just the sum of it that they weren't expecting, or it's like, here you go, this is what you got? I mean, yeah, Battlefield 1 had people on horseback trying to attack tanks. You know, like
yeah,
I'm not sure that happened that often.
It's 100% not realistic. If it was a dude there with a prosthetic arm, no one would be bitching about it.
I think you might have people upset. Really?
Then where were the people bitching about people on horseback fighting tanks?
Well, here's the thing: horseback existed. Robot arms didn't. I think that's
robot arms didn't, but prosthetic arms do.
That's a long way from a prosthetic arm from this trailer.
I mean, so is someone who has a katana.
That's why I mean. I think there's other elements in here where people are adding all these parts together. Why does someone in Europe have a katana fighting with it?
Yes, but when you look at the comments, everyone's first well, not everyone.
Are we talking about YouTube comments or everywhere else? Because YouTube is the worst comments.
We're talking about the whole reaction on the internet as a whole. The loudest voices are the people whining and bitching and moaning about women in their video games.
Let's see here. I'm looking at this CNET article, which does take, I think, a nice look at everything going on here. Besides, yes, they're featuring a woman, I guess, on the original image. And I don't know if it's the same woman I'm guessing it's the same woman with the robot arm. I can't tell.
My question here is, why have we not seen this same amount of outrage over historical accuracy in prior games like this when there has not been a woman prominently featured on the cover in the trailer? What about this one is the last straw?
I didn't say this is the last straw. I think this is a sum of all the parts of people.
No, I'm saying, what about this one? I'm not saying to you, but what about this one makes it the last straw? What about this one decided to make everyone go berserk when none of these games have been historically accurate prior?
Sure. That's a good point. I think people were also turned off by the fact that like people were jumping from buildings and the action was way quicker than what I would think. Again, I'm going back to my limited experience with this franchise where it's more measured versus rushing in and wiping out people real quickly and jumping, you know what I mean, from everything. Then again, that's just a trailer. I'm not sure if that's how the game really is. But usually the reveal trailer shows you what the game is like, gives you a flavor. You know? Am I giving people too much the benefit of the doubt here?
I think you might be.
Okay. I'm just looking at some of the tweets. Some people have a problem with the katana thing. I just think that's weird. I mean, we talk about historical accuracy in games. There's a suspension of disbelief when it comes to, you know, settings, the historical settings, obviously, the weapons involved. And if they came out, who's the developers? Is this DICE doing this?
Yeah, it's DICE.
If they came out and basically said, listen, we're just using World War II as our playground setting, and we're just going to do all this fucking crazy shit, have at it. Maybe people would be better prepared for it. I don't know. And they'd be like, okay, fine. Do whatever weapons you want. Do whatever characters you want. Have futuristic stuff. But maybe that's not what people are looking for in a World War II game. That's why they wanted to go back in time so that they can be more grounded in reality. I know you're talking about respawns and everything. I'm just saying, though, there's a difference between playing a game, at least to me, like a Battlefield game and playing a game like Unreal Tournament, which in the name, it's unreal. You're doing shit that humans can't possibly do, weapons that don't exist. It's futuristic. And maybe the tone they were going for with Battlefield 1 isn't what the players were necessarily expecting Battlefield 5 coming off of 1. Maybe it was not what they were expecting.
Perhaps. I just have to look at the tweet, though, from Oscar Gabrielson here, who, you know.
Who?
Oscar Gabrielson, who, he is developer's general manager. He's EA DICE's general manager. The Battlefield sandbox has always been about playing the way you want, like attempting to fit 3 players on a galloping horse with flamethrowers. That's from Battlefield 1.
You could do 3 people on a horse?
Screenshot, video of it right here.
Well, all right.
So I feel like a lot of this stuff and is people see this. Maybe I'm reading too hard into it, but
I think people are going to buy us no matter what. I think it's online bluster. And I think obviously you get the worst reaction online. The most sensible people aren't going to react to this stuff online. They're going to buy the game no matter what.
I think that's a lot of what it is. I think it's bluster. I think people have people who get upset by this sort of stuff, like a woman on the cover of Battlefield 5 or seeing her in the trailer being like, oh, it's not historically accurate. They knee-jerk reaction and they say, oh my God, there's this woman in this game and I don't like that. And then when people start coming for them, then they build the case around why they don't like it. And then they go after this historical inaccuracy and they try to build up the reasons as to why they don't. But when and I'm online too much, but when this hit, the immediate reaction was, why is this woman in this game? And then about a day later, then you start seeing all the historical inaccuracy stuff come up. And it just seems like when you look at it now, as opposed to when the story hit, now you see all of this other stuff in there. But when you watch the story develop, it seems like all of that historical inaccuracy stuff kind of filters in later. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Like,
but you don't think there's people that came to that conclusion separately that just said, I don't like the fact that...
There could be. I'm not going to say that there isn't. I mean, I can't deal in absolutes. I mean, that's. I'm sure there are people out there who want there are. I mean, there's a World War I game called Verdun that's supposed to be incredibly realistic to the point where it's like painful for some people to play it,
because it's one shot,
hard.
You're dead. Yeah.
But I don't think the majority of the people out there who are bitching about this are people at home, are teenagers just laying in bed dying for the day they get their super realistic World War II battle simulator. No, I don't think that that's the case.
Okay. That's fair enough. I think there's probably some people that were bothered, like I said, by the sum of the whole about, I don't know, the katana blade thing is, honestly, that's the weirdest thing of all out of all of it, to me. Seeing someone in Europe having a katana blade somehow as their melee weapon is really fucking strange. That actually popped out at me when I saw it.
I saw discussions of people bending over backwards trying to explain how a katana blade could get there, but not why have it. But not why the woman would be in there. And it's like,
okay, so they're taking that approach.
That's when it's like,
okay, that's obvious though. I'm just saying, to me, that's strange.
I'm gonna pull my brain out.
That's more the thing. It's a combination of me. It's the prosthetic robot arm, katana blade, but more so the tone of the action of storming the building like a SWAT team, everyone getting shot real quick and then jumping from the building. That to me is not what World War II action is. When I saw the trailer, I'm like, maybe that upset some people. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm overthinking or giving people too much benefit of the doubt. But that's what I saw when I saw that. That to me is not traditional World War II. That's not to me Allied assault action. Where it's like pretty grounded. Obviously, you take some liberties, but that game when I saw is taking liberties. But
Risk is the most realistic war game.
Risk.
I
never got into Risk.
I played too much Risk.
We should do a board game night with Risk. You teach me.
Risk is ugly.
It gets ugly. It's worse than Monopoly.
Oh yeah.
Too much backstabbing.
Yeah, Monopoly. Everyone ends up not playing. You just stop.
Well, that was the point of the game, is to show the bad side of capitalism.
Yeah,
and it worked.
It does.
But then it made a ton of money. So irony, right?
Capitalism.
All right. So are you excited for Battlefield 5, 1943, 4, whatever?
No, after all this wasted breath, I don't play these games.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'm sure I'll get it. I'll get the Switch version, which runs at 2 frames a second. The Switch version won't have a katana. It'll be like a pixel Zelda sword that Nintendo puts in the game.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there you go.
And instead of that, that'll be Princess Zelda on the cover of it with her prosthetic arm.